episode. We're accepting that. Okay.
Last 2 episodes of season 1.
Yeah.
We're getting down to the finish
Line. I see the finish line. Christian, give us a nice little recap.
A little brief synopsis.
Little
Just a little one.
little pizza, little lasagna. Eat, you stupid. I'm just kidding. So English is a second language. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. It's almost finals week, and I think it is finals week.
Finals.
So the group is about ready to finish Spanish 102. And the issue is that Jeff has fulfilled his Spanish requirements, so he's not going to be in Spanish 103. So there's a little bit of conflict of, what's going to happen in the group, yada, 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 after that. But before that even happens, they've got to take this Spanish exam, the Spanish final. And Cheng goes to Jeff because Cheng knows that Jeff's law degree was a fake. And we actually find out that Cheng's teaching license is also fake. He just sort of BS'd his way into that position. And if anybody finds out about it, then, he's in trouble. The class basically goes down the tube, and everybody has to retake Spanish. So Annie records all of her notes, has a little handy dandy 2009 cam voice recorder, finds out, she hears what Cheng said, and basically turns him over. So the group gets into some hilarious situations, and hijinks ensue, and that's how we finish the episode. Is that they all pass, but there's some issues about Cheng and the gang. English is a second language.
Yeah.
Episode 24. What you got? What were the best scenes, the best lines that you would give an A+ to?
I feel like this episode overall was solid. My favorite line, though, was Jeff was trying to wake up Pierce, and he's like, "I got this, guys. Discrimination lawsuits." Like, he just gets up immediately.
Preposterous.
Yeah,
Preposterous. They signed a non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy.
What do you guys got?
Hold on. Did you hear? So Jonathan's a pro wrestling connoisseur.
Oh, about Vince
McMahon. Yeah. That little. Yeah. None of us are surprised.
I mean, yeah.
But we're disappointed.
Yeah.
Kind of an underrated Annie line, and I didn't remember it until watching this episode. But they're in the classroom, and Annie's like, "Of course you think that, Britta. It's obvious from your name. Your parents smoked pot." It's like, where did Annie get this kind of bravery to just call people out like that? That's such a savage line from her.
Yeah.
Cheng, in high school, I was in a band. It could have been huge, but the world wasn't ready for an Asian man on keytar. And then Jeff's like, "Are you saying keytar? Or
are you saying guitar like a hillbilly?"
Keytar,
guitar,
keyboard that you play like a guitar. No. There's a lot of Goodwill Hunting references throughout. That's kind of a extra credit thing.
Okay.
Ahead, but
maybe I'm getting my movies mixed up now. I thought that was a Beautiful Mind. The problem on the board was
same.
It's the same concept. It's it's a brilliant student who just needs a bit of push.
It's definitely a Goodwill Hunting reference because there's the chalkboard in the hallway, right?
Yeah,
and he solves it, and I think he even gets caught in the movie Goodwill Hunting. Somebody sees him and
yep,
and then they're like, "Oh, he solved it." Yeah, definitely. Obviously a callback there and direct reference to it. I mean, they even mentioned it, I think.
Yeah.
Because
they joke about it.
Yeah, because Abed's like, "Oh, my favorite movie, the best part of Goodwill Hunting is, and then Abed's like, "That movie's messed up if you think that." Basically,
yeah.
Stuff.
He said the best part of his days when he turns around and I'm not there.
Yeah, that's a bit derivative.
Yeah.
Context.
The dean. If an Asian man says he's a Spanish teacher, it's not racist to ask for qualifications.
Yeah.
Senor Cheng, Ben, do you understand how crazy that sounds? I know, Rabbi Cheng.
Yeah.
And then just Cheng destroying Jeff's car with the guitar. And "You're wearing protective goggles to destroy my car. Safety first."
I've seen that one. I feel like always pops up in
best lines.
Yeah, best lines or best
definitely does.
little
Have you met me?
Yeah.
Christian, what you got for A+?
I really loved how whenever Cheng has to ask Jeff about the whole faking a degree thing, he's like, "Winger, can I have a word with you in private?" And Jeff is like, "Yeah, sure." And then Cheng looks around and is like, "All right, everybody leave."
Yeah.
I love how he's making everybody, he's gesturing to the door. Instead of just stepping on the hallway, he's making everybody. And then he's like, "Pierce, can you get the door?" And Pierce just shuts the door and stands there with his hands over his, just folding his arms. And Cheng is like, "Other side of the door." And Pierce is like, "Oh, yep, you're right. You're right."
Jumps in the air.
It's kind of weird. I love that. I love that. I like how in this episode, and this obviously we see this in a couple seasons going forward, is Troy in air conditioning repair or plumbing and AC repair. And I feel like that is a legitimate conversation because Troy's like, I want to get an education, have thoughts, and take out a student loan and have my own car and understand HBO.
Yeah.
Like college is expensive. I mean, working in university, being an admissions recruiter, like obviously trying to get people to spend $60,000 on a college education, like trying to make it worth it. And like, that's a real, especially if you live in rural Missouri, like some people, they go to high school and that's what they do, or they go to like trade school and they get a welding certificate, like, and they make good money doing it. And so like, I don't blame Troy, or I don't blame the plumber for trying to convince Troy to do that. Like, cause that's a legitimate, like what's practical. Like if Troy gets a degree in accounting, like is he the type of guy that would be an accountant? Like not really. No. And like some people, they do that. It's like, I'm going to get a degree and what is going to make me the most money. It's going to get me out of here. And it's like, okay, but what's going to make you, like, what are you going to enjoy doing? Maybe I'm just saying that as a cop out because I got a history degree, but like I genuinely believe that, like if Troy had the opportunity to go to be a plumber, like the guy made a good point, like there's always a crapper that needs to be fixed, or yeah. So I really like that.
And also too, like kind of like a larger societal question, like, or point.
We live in one. You know it.
What'd you say?
That we live in one.
Yeah. But like too many people go to college. I remember like even thinking about that through my experience.
We need another plague.
Yeah.
No, we need another plague.
Yeah. We need another plague, yeah.
But yeah, like I remember like going through my college, like I went to school 2015 to 2020, and just like the people, like a lot of the kids I met along the way, like you're not a student, like you're just here
here to get the
because like that's the thing you think you're supposed to do, or you really just want to kind of hang out for 4 years and kind of like extend your adolescence. Like you're not really here to like learn anything, and you really shouldn't be here, and that's okay. Like,
and I feel like Troy is a weird mixture of somebody who maybe doesn't belong in college. Like he knows that he needs to think, and he knows that he needs to learn. But I think it's almost like somebody told him that he needs to learn. And so he just kind of convinced himself, and he doesn't realize that there is another option. And I feel like that's what a lot of what I've come across, like whenever I was a student, and even now kind of working with incoming students, is like nobody ever tells you what you're quote unquote supposed to do. Like all three of us went to the same school, and like, I don't know if you felt this, but for me, I was like, okay, so how do I actually know that I'm going to this college? Like, they've taken my application, but like, could I, like, how do I know that I'm not going to show up and they're like, who the are you?
Yeah.
Like, so I feel like we expect there to be this, like this one person. It's like, all right, now on this day, you're going to fill out this application. And then on this day, you're going to take this class. And on this day, you're going to like, but we don't have that. We don't have like the right way to do something. It's just everybody expects that there is. And I think that like going to college as a whole, like, oh, this is just what makes sense. After graduation, I've seen enough Spider-Man movies to know that he tries to get into college somewhere. And that there's sort of a stigma of like whatever's less than a college degree. But I mean, honestly, and I know this is a tangent, but I mean, Greendale is literally about a community college. That like a bachelor's degree is the new high school diploma. Like everybody's going to get a bachelor's degree. So you have to spend even more money to get a master's degree. And that's interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was the intricacies of college administration 101. But I think in the realm of like Greendale, you have Troy, who's there because, he was the high school jock, and he's there. I think he's technically there on a high school or on a football scholarship, isn't he? Yeah. Right. You got Andy,
well, he wasn't originally though.
He wasn't, but he gets put on one.
Yeah, man, because the dean's like, oh, we want Troy to play on the team, and he gets Jeff convince him to join by.
So then you have Annie, who is a student at heart, but she's like the anal student who's like, I have to be perfect at everything, and she's kind of rebuilding her credit score as a person.
Yeah, like it's obvious she's way smarter, too smart for Greendale.
For Greendale. I think Britta is definitely the kind of person that you were mentioning, Jonathan, of like, I'm just sort of hanging out here. Season 3 onward, Britta. So season 1 Britta probably actually was like, oh, hey, like I need to get my crap together and go back to school. But like after that, it's just she's hanging around.
And she does try to like become a psychologist. She tries to study psychology. But it's
yeah. I think Abed is the person who is fully capable. Like he'd be that kid that you'd see on 60 Minutes who finished college at the age of like 12.
Yeah,
but he just doesn't have like the social intelligence to fit in. Like that's kind of part of his character arc is that like the Greendale 7 is like the first group he's ever fit into. And I think like, whenever I've been to college, like, you give a tour to a prospective student, you're like, oh, so what are you interested in at home? He's like, I like to skin squirrels and then hang them from my tree. Like, not really, but, you're like, oh, so you have any pets at home? Not anymore.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to do when you get to college? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like you, like college is obviously about getting your degree and getting onward, but it is also about like growing as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's almost like a mushy kind of fake cop out thing, but yeah. So I think Abed is kind of there, and he does grow over his time at Greendale. I think Pierce and Shirley, like, they play into that a lot. That Shirley's a stay-at-home mom who's going to college, and Pierce is he's just the old man who's doesn't have anything else to do. Like, you see that at college too, that they're the people who, maybe they work as a CNA for part-time, and then you see them in class. It's like, dang, your life must be crazy. Like, you go to class at 9 a.m. and you work 5 to 2 a.m. and so you sleep for a little bit. Like, yeah, it's interesting just how education affects people.
For sure.
Yeah. Have we gotten past your A+ yet? I don't even know where we're at. Sorry, that was a really long.
No, you're good.
tangent,
That was good stuff. I really only noted one. I'm looking on Ethan's list right now. I love the line which this is the only time I can remember they specifically refer to Annie's eyes as like Disney eyes.
Yeah, and the pouty lip and the trembling eyes that aren't going to
exactly
shut. Yeah, and then Abe, close your eyes. I only
connect people through movies.
She's the Ark of the Covenant. Everybody imagine that she's Paul Giamatti. Ew!
Yeah.
I guess one other A+ thing that I had was Starburns throwing like a coup in the final.
Yeah.
It's like, we love Hannah. Hannah's our friend too, and you can't have a test without a class.
Yeah,
I love that.
That was like a bit of like a fantasy fulfillment for me too as I was watching this, because I'd always like thought about that in high school.
They can't arrest all of us at Area 51.
Yeah, like that,
but they can though.
Yeah,
it's oddly smart by Starburns.
Yeah,
like obviously they need to take the test.
It's like he's rolling a nat 20 in Dungeons & Dragons. Like, this is not going to work, but this is the one time it does.
Yeah,
and even that Spanish teacher, like, she had some funny like moments. Like, how many chapters is going to be over? 3, 4? En español, por favor. Well, I know it's in Spanish, dummy. How many chapters? But yeah,
I'm an early riser. I would say so.
Okay, so I'm gonna go into my lead-in class because of that. Pierce leads the class for this episode because he sleeps with the Spanish professor, and like, this is one of the only times in the series that I know of that he goes over and doesn't like become the butt of the joke.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, in the sailing episode, he gets the "I'm king of the world" joke. This one, it's like he actually was smart, and I was like, why doesn't he end up with the Spanish professor? Because like,
that'd be kind of
she's honestly there, right? And like, she's attracted to him, and he's attracted to her, and like, I feel like any other professor in this series would listen to his proposition to like sleep together and be like, I'm going to file a Title IX complaint against you unless you give me half of Hawthorne Wipes, Like, so the fact that this happened and it worked for him and he was like doing it to help out the group.
Oh yeah.
So Jonathan, who did you have? Yeah, that was who I had for leading the class. Who did you have?
I had Jeff. I didn't really have a strong feeling for anybody else. I thought there was like good stuff from everybody, like as usual, but I just picked Jeff. Kind of as a default, kind of cop out answer, but that's what I got.
Yeah, I kind of struggle with this one. I'm going to go with Annie, mainly because I think the acting in this episode by Alison Brie is phenomenal. You talked about like the Disney eyes and like that scene where they're interrogating her in the study room. I just think she has great acting in that scene. Her facial expressions, and like they are basically not making fun of her, but like they're literally talking about
her facial
expressions, which she's really good at. And that's something we've talked about before, like with where she pepper sprays herself and she screams, and it's like, Alison Brie's great actress.
Guys, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, and in a way, I was thinking about that. She's kind of the antagonist of the episode because she's the reason that they're about to possibly have, that Chang.
It's very manipulative.
Yeah.
Like, she knows, like, she wants Jeff to be part of this. She doesn't want the study group to break up. And so she does it to screw over Jeff and screw over Chang.
Yeah.
So.
But at the same time, while she is the obvious reason for the problem, the heart behind it is like, okay, obviously we're attached to these characters. She's attached to them. She sees it as like a family.
Yeah.
And maybe like Shirley sees it as that. But like obviously Jeff is still probably doesn't quite see it like that. Like he hasn't
Right.
he doesn't want to admit it.
Because that's what the group eventually becomes. Like in season 6, you've got, it's just Britta, Abed, Annie, and Jeff, and then you have Frankie in there, and you have Elroy,
Buzz,
fantastic.
but Buzz,
Vicky, yeah,
and it does. It's like phases. It's kind of like the old guard. Like I think of like Jonathan and I lived together for about 6 months, maybe a year.
Yeah.
We had a third roommate named Caleb. We all lived at our campus ministry building. Like that was like the time of my life, because it would be like oh baby, come here, man. Oh man, we go here because we would go, we'd go to McDonald's at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
We'd stay up and watch Rick and Morty. We'd make music, right? We'd sit on the roof, and like Jonathan moved out after he graduated, and then Caleb got married, and he moved out like at the end of the year, and so I was like by myself, and then a couple other guys moved in. And it was like, it kind of felt like that. I was like, well, hey, maybe Jonathan should come back and take classes at his master's degree, or maybe Caleb could get divorced. And then, no, I'm just kidding. But
sorry, Beth.
Beth, we love you. That was a joke. But like, you kind of feel like, oh, I'm the old guard. It's like in the last season of Parks and Rec, and I think I made this reference before, but like Ron is the last guy in the Parks department. I'm like, oh, that is heartbreaking. Yeah, and I've always had that. Not fear, but like that sort of like nostalgia and sentimentality. And I could see that as Annie. Like she's like, I had this really good thing going for me, so I'm willing to make some sacrifices here, So again, it's a pretty trivial, like it's a pretty standard sitcom plot to, oh, I found out this thing and we're gonna screw over Chang, but I can at least understand where she's coming from with that.
Yeah,
too.
and for the purpose of the show, she's the one that voices kind of what maybe you want somebody to say is that, hey, this is something special. I see you guys as more than just like a study group. Like we're a family. And so even though she goes about it in the wrong way, for the purpose of the show to continue, like it's obviously a very important, I think, thing for somebody to do.
So, okay. Spanish, was the Spanish 103, the 6 a.m. class? Or there's something she's like, bright and early, like 6 a.m.
It's like Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. It's like every day. Yeah.
So she brings up anthropology as a class that they could all take. And Jeff shoots it down at first. He does. Why is it that he said, that he shoots it down because like, Annie, stop trying to make something happen because it's not going to, like, is that why he shoots it down? I don't remember why. Because at the end of the episode, he does a 180 where he does a face turn and he's like, anthropology.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Because obviously we get to see Betty White in the next season, but
I'm looking because I have access to
a community
script.
wiki.
Because I can't remember if it was about credits or
maybe
Spanish was,
that's why he didn't take Spanish.
I mean, I think it just from Jeff's perspective, it probably just looks at it as an extra class he doesn't need.
Right.
Yeah.
But I still like, okay, you probably need some kind of humanities credit.
Right.
So that would fit it. He probably doesn't have that yet.
Also, in the last episode, they were sitting around the fire at the paintball arena and they were like, maybe I could get out of here in 3 years instead of 4. But this is a community college, so most community colleges are 2 years.
Yeah.
So the fact that Jeff has a fake law degree, like he would need to go probably 6 or 7 or 8 to get his master's or his doctorate in education. So it's kind of weird. I'm starting to poke holes in the logic of a TV show that's been done for 7 years, but yeah, it's kind of weird how that. I mean, and we've talked about that too. Of like the class structure doesn't work, but I think that's kind of what the point of the episode is like Jeff is counting calories with classes of like, I don't need to take this, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
And then he again, we've talked about that before as well too. Season 1, Jeff is 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So it's kind of frustrating to see the lack of progress that he has. If he knows that the study group is his family, but he's like, I don't need to take this class, so you're on your own. You know?
Yeah, and it seems like at least they want us to believe that Jeff has his law degree, but not his bachelor's.
Oh, okay. Like he passed the bar.
Yeah,
but he didn't have a bachelor's degree to go along with it.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like even back to like that first episode with Duncan, where he's like, I thought you got your bachelor's at Columbia or something like that.
I think it was law degree though. I think he says law degree from Columbia.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's a valid question. I've never really thought about that, but Jeff's not going to Greendale to get his law degree because it's a community college.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be just some kind of like he's getting his basic gen ed credits. But in that first episode, I'm pretty sure they're talking about his law degree. That's what Duncan brings up. So kind of weird.
Also, shouldn't Jeff be just straight up in like prison for I guess it's not a medical license, so maybe it's not the same. But like,
yeah.
I mean,
for fraudulent.
does he get disbarred?
Yeah,
Later. Or
yeah.
at some point they
Because-
talk about it possibly.
Because that's the whole like Tango Sundance. That guy comes in,
Yeah.
and he gets him disbarred. But did you find anything about why Jeff didn't want to take anthropology? If not, it's not a big deal.
So basically, the gist of it was just that's when he's talking about. I have a date on May 23rd, 2012. A table at Morty's Steakhouse to
Right,
celebrate me
Morty.
getting. And then he's I can't do that by taking a full load. Don't.
Oh
A
yeah,
full
yeah,
load
full
of classes. Basically, the gist of it is I don't want to waste my time just scheduling
Taking-
classes around BFFs. That's what he
Right.
says. I don't want to
Yeah,
schedule
yeah.
classes around my friends. I want to get the classes that I need and get out of here.
Right.
Also, looking at it, he does say from episode 1, Duncan says, "I thought you had a bachelor's from Columbia," and Jeff says, "No, I have to get one from America." So it is his bachelor's degree that is in
But it's
question.
just
Gotcha.
yeah,
So that makes more sense.
gotcha.
Nice little clarity there. Honestly, I didn't know that either, so I'm glad I looked that up.
Makes a lot of sense.
For extra credit, obviously the biggest.
No, I don't. Have you guys done leading the class yet?
I did. Yeah.
Okay,
And
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, and for extra credit, I mean, obviously the biggest like consistent parody with Troy's like Good Will Hunting. Have you guys seen that movie?
Yep.
I haven't.
It's a good movie.
It's pretty good. Yeah,
because it's got Robin Williams and Matt Damon, right?
and Ben Affleck
And Ben Affleck.
And then it's but then
and the guy from Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. He's part of their crew.
but then
And Mini Driver. Okay.
Dead Poet Society also has Robin Williams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's yeah.
Yeah, I get those movies mixed up a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
honestly
so-
valid. Who's the
And,
other guy?
and A
in
Beautiful Mind.
Dead Poet Society is like
Is that
Robin
the-
Williams at a boarding school.
Right. Is that the Oh Captain, My Captain?
Yeah.
Where they
Is that Leo?
No, it's gosh, who's in? I
Because
can't.
then there's also one.
There's also School Ties, which is also at a boarding school with Matt Damon and Brendan Fraser and
Brendan Fraser.
Ben I think you'd really like School Ties because it's just young
Interesting.
Brendan Fraser
Yeah.
just hanging out. But,
Oh yeah, so
'Cause-
Dead Poet Society is Robin Williams, Ethan Hawke's in it, but there's
Yeah,
not really
okay.
like a notable. I was thinking there was
Gotcha.
another famous.
Because then there's also Finding Forrester with Sean Connery, and then there's also I can't even think of what it is, but it's like the one where the professor, because my LA teacher always showed it in class of like he starts reciting poems at the very end to show that like he's gonna get kicked off the school staff because he's like losing his mind or whatever, and then he like starts reciting it to prove that he's still
yes,
lucid.
I can't remember the name.
Yeah, but it's like there's just a bunch of those like education movies.
yeah,
Educator captures the hearts of his students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freedom Riders.
yeah, Freedom Rider. That's a
Yeah.
good one.
But
You guys ever see Stand and Deliver? The one with Edward James Olmos?
nope.
What is it?
It's called Stand and Deliver. It's like he's he's teaching calculus in like the inner city to like a bunch of like Hispanic kids.
Have you
basically.
ever-
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Because it's a true story. It's and he's trying to get them to pass like some kind of test.
yeah, some big. Like,
Yeah, it's Jaime Escalante. It's like it's based on a true story.
Yeah.
We watched
Have
it in
you-
Spanish class. Yeah.
Have you ever seen Major Payne?
Have you ever seen Ernest Goes to
Is there an Ernest Teaches College episode? Probably. Man, Ernest P. Worrell. Jim, I don't know how I got to the page, but last night or a couple months ago, I was like, man, Jim Varney died really young. I saw him on like a history page that I follow on Instagram, and it's like, this is him in the 80s or whatever. And like he and Robin Williams were actually like really good friends.
Whoa.
And like, hey, people, you should watch Ernest because that's what my family always watched growing up instead of actual comedy movies. Would always watch Ernest Saves Christmas.
Good, clean comp. Well, pretty clean
Pretty clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for the most part.
But Ernest Saves Christmas wasn't that great. I'll be honest. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but we watched it every year.
I'll be
That
honest.
was,
I never really found any of them that funny.
Yeah, it's a very niche time. But
Yeah.
Jim Varney though, National Treasure, Slinky, and Toy Story.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay, yes,
yeah. But anyway, Jim Varney should have been in Community. As he should have been allowed to see it. Honestly, he'd probably be a pretty similar actor to Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
He would have been good as like some kind of like one-off professor.
He would have been good in a mirror version of the Greendale 7.
Oh yeah.
You'd have. Okay, let's. I want to do that before we move on. Well, what is a because we've seen like Buddy joins Owen Wilson's group, but like that's not like a mirror version of
Chris Pine maybe as Jeff.
Chris Pine as Jeff, maybe, or is he somebody? I'm trying to think of like. I guess he wasn't really that huge until like the mid 2010s.
Yeah. After Star Trek.
Right. So 2010, Chris Pine.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking like Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Annie.
Okay.
Exactly. She's a big like in a lot of horror movies. Like she's in Final Destination. She got married to Ewan McGregor not too long ago. She was in, oh gosh, I can't think.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was in 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yes.
She was, yeah.
Oh, okay.
She was in Scott Pilgrim too.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I was thinking of. She with the pink hair. So I could see her doing that.
Honestly, Troy. I mean, Michael B. Jordan. Like, that seems like
that would actually perfect.
That's
like
peak.
And then,
yeah.
If we're gonna get really meta, you could just have Jamie Lee Curtis as Obvious.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
But if they hadn't have had Kingo in Eternals, I can never pronounce his name.
Oh, Camille Nanjiani.
Right? Could he?
He's a little older though.
He is a little older.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Danny Pudi's not young.
That's true. That's valid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you could have Octavia Spencer as Shirley.
That's a good pick, but like, because at this point, Octavia Spencer in her career
is big.
Is already like she's a movie star at that
right.
point. But I do agree.
Right.
You and that Sherry Shepherd lady of your group. I think that Vaughn says that at some point.
Yeah.
She's not really an actress though, is she? Sherry Shepherd?
A little bit. She was in 30 Rock and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's because she's
Tracy's
wife. Yeah. Queen of Jordan.
Yeah.
People like the way I say ham.
Yeah.
Ham.
Ham, girl.
Ooh, okay. So for Britta.
Yeah, Britta's the hard one.
I was gonna say Kirsten Dunst, but that doesn't seem.
She's too big.
No, she's too big. That's what she said.
Ooh, okay. Do you guys know who Erin Moriarty is?
I've heard the name.
She's in The Boys.
She's Starlight in The Boys.
Yeah. I feel like she
would have been really young.
She's such an at that point. She's almost too young.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm trying to think of like
28 now. Gosh, yeah, she would have been 18. Gosh.
She looks like Kate Mara.
What about
Kate Mara? That was thing.
Emma Stone?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
Same vibe.
Yeah, I can see that.
Maybe before, because that was before American Horror Story. That was like Hotel for Dogs 8. No, she would have been really young back then too.
She's probably older than you think at that time.
Probably.
How old is Emma Stone?
I don't know.
Emma Stone, come on, where are you?
Looking at 2010 era.
Yeah,
wait.
So
Emma Stone is
33. Wow.
Emma Stone is not La La Land, right?
She is.
Okay, I'm thinking of Emma, the one from American Horror Story, and Emma
American Horror Story.
A lot of really rough dialogue in this podcast, but it's good.
Yeah.
We're thinking.
This is good. I'm keeping it. Horror Story.
Emma Roberts. I didn't even Google that. I'm so proud of myself.
Emma Roberts.
Emma Roberts. That's who I was thinking of, but Emma Stone would have worked because that was around Zombieland before she blew up.
Honestly, Emma Stone kind of looks like Gillian Jacobs.
Yeah,
a little bit. So,
so do you think?
Dude, that's a great pick.
Yeah. Okay. So we had Chris Pine.
Yeah.
Jim Varney as Pierce. Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah. Octavia
Spencer. Emma Roberts. And Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah.
And then who did we say for Abed? I mean, if we didn't go Jamie Lee Curtis, who would we go?
Let's see. I loved you in now playing
IMDb.
Yeah.
What's this person like? Where have you seen him from?
I'm trying to envision like Pitch Perfect. He is on the Adam Devine team. He does the beatboxing for that team.
Huh.
I don't know his name though. I'm gonna look it up.
A young Keegan Michael Key.
Come on, where are you? Where is this dude? Yeah, he's old enough. Okay, so his name is Utkarsh Amdukar.
Oh yeah, I see him.
Yeah. He was also in
because like you really just need like a guy who like is like a nerd vibe. So like, it doesn't have to be an Indian guy who gives a nerd vibe, but
we can poach Jim Partridge from Big Bang Theory.
Ooh, okay, yeah, yeah. Because like by the end of Big Bang Theory, he looked old, but like in the middle of it, he looks good.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I like that. For me, like overall, this episode's solid. I didn't find myself laughing that much, but again, like I think the structure of it's pretty strong, and like I think it does good things, and like I mean, I think I felt the weight of like, oh, they might fail this final, and like I was kind of nervous for them when the new teacher kind of came in and stuff like that, and so like I'd probably give this like a 7 out of 10. It got me emotionally invested a little bit.
I think before I give my rating, my extra credit was just if I had a nickel for every time one of the Greendale 7 got tased while standing on a car, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's kind of weird that it happens twice.
Yeah.
Because Jeff gets tased off the car and he starts peeing, and then Abed gets tased at the beginning of Abed's Special Christmas.
Oh.
Because like he starts singing the community theme song and he's like hopping from car to car.
Interesting.
And it ends with like, we got him, everybody. Don't worry, we got him.
Huh.
Yeah.
Good catch.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird. Like that's a pretty oddly specific scenario to find yourself. It'd be kind of like if they had two different guys who were like neo Nazis,
Yeah.
like in the show. Like, Dan Harmon, are you okay? But so I think
Was du Faschist? Okay.
when did fascism become when did Nazis become the status quo? So that quote, if I had a nickel for every time that happened, it happened twice. That came from the Phineas and Ferb
Doofenshmirtz, yeah.
movie. Was it like the 3D movie or something like
Ooh.
that? So if I had to give this a rating for an episode, I would give it a Phineas and Ferb Christmas special out of season 2 of Phineas and Ferb. Like, it was pretty solid. Not my favorite. I think probably just because I saw it so many times growing up, it kind of lost its luster. But yeah, it's pretty solid episode. Feels pretty sitcom-y. I mean, like, that's a pretty standard trope, but I like it a lot more than the next episode we're going to talk about. So
yeah, overall, it's a good episode because it's so important to move the plot along, especially as we're getting, obviously, the finale is the next episode, and we're getting closer to, the end of the season and going into season 2. And there is, like you said, there's that drama. Like, you definitely feel like, oh, maybe the show is going to have them have to retake Spanish, and like we're going to get another Spanish teacher next year, and like it's basically kind of like we have to redo everything and like back to square one. So there's kind of those high stakes there. But I agree, I didn't really find myself laughing all that much at this episode. It's not really an episode that I think is built to be a super memorable, funny one. Again, it's more for the plot and revealing that Chang's fake Spanish teacher, and just having that internal conflict with the group. I also think that the Troy plot, it felt disappointing to me. Like, and I know we get obviously this is kind of setting up for him going to AC repair school later on in the show. But I don't know. I just feel like for them to throw that in there at the end of the season, if he was looking that far ahead, then like props to Dan Harmon, because that's some really good, foreshadowing. But it just feels like they could have done more payoff with it in this episode.
Yes, I was
Because
thinking that
it's
too.
kind of like he gets mad at Abed for saying that the best part of my day is when I think you might not be there, and then like that's pretty much it.
Yeah, there's no like actual resolution to that storyline.
Yeah, and then like they don't bring it up again for a while, so it's kind of disappointing. I feel like they could have done a lot more with it and had a better payoff, or just used it more for comedy or something.
It would have been like a better, like end credit scene. Like they do the same thing, like they set him up.
Yeah.
Or like maybe he like fixes something in earlier and like somebody notices, but they don't like go back to it. And at the end, like it's like a setup thing, like a setup test they do like in the bathroom or whatever.
It just feels like it's such a, and maybe because at the time, you don't know that obviously he's going to go to AC Repair School, but knowing what we know now, that it is such a plot later in the show, it seems like a minor detail in this episode, and they kind of just gloss it over and
like
use it as,
if you were watching this for the first time, you wouldn't know why it was in the episode.
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, they just did that to reference Good Will Hunting, and then that's it. And it's really not even that funny of a plot either. It is kind of funny when Troy is like, Abed thinks that the best part of his day is whenever I'm not there, and like, but
the guy though was funny. The guy trying to
plumber
recruit him.
guy,
yeah,
Jerry,
yeah. He's like meets Abed in the bathroom, like, hi, like,
yeah. Yeah,
I feel like they could have done a cutaway or like an end credit scene too, where like, Shirley has she's like starting up her minivan and it won't start. She like gets under the hood and fixes it, and then like some like random auto body shop is like, hey, you've got a gift, and she's like, okay,
yeah,
like kind of like a another whole like, oh, you've got a gift that nobody thinks about sort of thing.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah,
I do have 2 minor nitpicks. Well, actually, one of them's not super minor. The toilet humor in this episode, I hate it in the show. There's the scene where Chang's talking to Jeff, and then he slides back in the chair, and it makes a noise. And the whole joke is like, "Oh, did you fart? No, it was the chair." And then Annie hears it. And,
I have a condition,
right? And that felt so unnecessary to me. And you guys probably,
what is this? Call me cat.
And the worst. It's just, I don't know. It's like high school me would have thought that was funny. Maybe middle school me might have thought that was
Freshman
funny.
me,
maybe
second grader me.
I think it's just like
it's low hanging fruit.
It's such low hanging
like,
fruit.
Oh, she wasn't there, so she doesn't know whether or not it actually was the.
But it just doesn't seem to belong in the show. It just doesn't
Agreed.
match the rest of the vibe.
Yeah,
they could have done so
agreed.
much more with a joke on that.
They could have had a line that was very straightforward. Like I can't think of but something along the lines of like, Annie starts the conversation halfway through, and it's like, man, I'm gonna bend you over and like, give you what for, and like The real thing is, I don't know. Like, yeah, it's almost like a weird like sex thing, but you have to like wind it and hear what he actually said.
Well, that's actually something with the recording too, which I thought would have been better, is because since the recording had just been going the whole time she was in there, it obviously what we see is like she puts her headphones in, starts it, and it starts at the critical point of the critical plot point.
So more like a dissolve, like a montage of her like listening to different.
Well, not even that. Like just like the start of the class, like hola clase, like all that whole thing, and then it cuts to her like running to like oh, she just like we realize that she got this information, and now she has to like maybe she runs to the dean, maybe like you know what I mean, like some sort of like,
because it showed that it was recording while they were talking. So that's
we already know that she's going to hear
it. So it's a fairly unnecessary sequence. That would have been good cinematography though. Yeah, she like you slowly start to see her like put in an earbud, and like you see that it's the track that it was on whenever it recorded, and it's like the music swells and like her eyes get really big, and then she just bursts in the dean. That is good storytelling. Yeah, man. Yeah,
I don't know. Just felt
I think of that.
I like our version better.
Yeah,
we'll rewrite it. And my other nitpick is another unnecessary joke that fell really flat for me and kind of ruined the scene. Or not ruin the scene, but I was just so confused. It's right whenever it's when Chang is destroying Jeff's car, and Jeff and Abed and Troy are walking, and Abed says something about like, oh, that's the car horn of a 2002 Lexus or something like that. And then he says something about, oh, I was listening or watching fireworks on my roof, and all the cars went off, and one of them was a Lexus.
It was a brand new Lexus.
It was a brand new Lexus, and it was brand new, like basically saying like it was brand new back then. I don't understand the joke.
Yeah,
like, what's
that was
the
such
point?
a busy line.
The wording was wrong, but I do think it's kind of funny that Jeff couldn't afford a brand new Lexus, so he had to get one from 2002. Like that is funny. That like it goes into sort of the imposter syndrome of like, there is a movie, and I mean I don't even bother looking it up. It was on this TV growing up. Like obviously this channel was called This, and it was all like the crappy B movies that people bought the rights to. And this movie was about these guys who grifted people in car dealerships. And so they like made this promise that they'd have like a mile. Yeah, they'd have a mile of cars to sell. And so basically the last act of the movie is they just buy up like cars that barely run. And there's like this big race down like the interstate to get a mile of cars, right? So they spend like, $100 on a car. And there's one part where like the worst car there is a Cadillac, right? But this guy's like, I am not moving from this seat because I want this car. It is a Cadillac. It is the top of the line, and like doesn't even get there. And like that's kind of like what the joke is it's like, I think about whenever Ethan, I'm sorry, I'm making a bunch of different references, but Ethan and I are growing up, like Under Armour was like the brand. So like
interesting.
Like anything Under Armour that you could get your hands on and made you cool. And so we went to a pool party that was like one of our nieces or nephews, and they were turning like 2, and we were going to go swimming, and we didn't bring any swim trunks or anything. So one of the guys had like a pair of compression shorts and an old pair of swim trunks that he let us use. And those compression shorts were like Under Armour from like 2005, whenever like it was really bulky lettering.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I got my first Under Armour compression shorts. And I feel like that's like what Jeff is doing with his Lexus. Like, again, sorry, that was a really long wraparound, but it's almost as long as Abed trying to make that joke with Lexus. But
you get it?
Thank you for explaining that, because I honestly didn't get that. That's Jeff like making fun of the fact that he can't even have like a nice Lexus, like it's like a 20-year-old one or a 10-year-old, I guess at this point. But yeah, it's such a clunky line. It's just like, okay, like you could have gotten to the point of the joke a lot differently, and like it just kind of felt like they got lazy with the writing. Oh my gosh, Christian's cat's attacking Jonathan.
My cat's attacking Jonathan.
Oh my goodness. Camera for the throat. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean that's
going for the jugular.
Like I said, okay episode, probably like a 7 out of 10. So,
welcome back. We are back with
part 2.
Yeah, Pascal's Triangle Revisited.
Season 1 coming to an end.
Now the season
is coming to an end.
Ooh. We're gonna have people Googling that. Like, there's no song that says now the season's coming to an end.
Bro, they ripped off 21 Pilots, bro.
That's so bad. No, that was Night Talk who did it, sang that song.
Oh yeah,
right.
Wink.
Wink. So Pascal's Triangle. You know what? I didn't like this episode. So I'm going to refer my synopsis powers to somebody else. Stay strapped or get capped.
Yeah, I can serve you a little bit, but I keep that thing on me. So you come this way, you won't get clapped.
Both cheeks.
Let's see. 1 sec. Uno, sexo. Come on.
Huh. We're gonna have to bleep that out.
So Pascal's trying to revisit it. It's the end of the school year, and Jeff's at the apex of a romantic triangle between Britta and our favorite character Slater. And
it's more like a love dodecahedron.
Yeah. And then Annie ponders an offer to move away with her boyfriend Vaughn to a school in Delaware so he can become the next
Yingwei Magadeng Ding Jr.
Yeah.
And then Troy is looking for a new place to live and wants to live with Abed, but maybe not. Maybe Abed doesn't want to live with him. A little bit of drama there. We'll find out. That's
and then we also have a mini rivalry between Chang and Duncan. I think we should mention.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely. Yeah.
So,
for me, like in this one, I thought it was just a couple of things I really liked here. The group flaming Shirley's unseen friend Gary, which I'm really surprised there's not like a showing of him like anytime.
Is there not one?
I don't think so.
Yeah, like just a really pale guy.
It's like the equivalent of Travis in Pierce's entourage.
Or I like that though that they don't show him because it kind of like like Maris and Frasier, or you've seen Psych, right?
Oh, I went all the way through.
There's I can't remember the guy's name. There's one of the officers.
All the way through.
He's kind of like the butt of the joke, and like they always make fun of him, but you don't ever see him. He's like the nameless until the very. I don't want to spoil it for you guys if you're watching.
Or Vern in Ernest.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's like the unseen character that like he obviously is there, but like you never see him, so that makes it funnier because you don't actually know what it is.
It would have been hilarious, if they had like a quick cut to the door, and there's David Dastmalchian or something, like it's just standing there like, oh, I made this cake for you guys.
Yeah. There's a lot of season long callbacks in this one.
Yep.
A lot of characters we see again.
Greendale is the way it goes.
Yeah.
So should we go over some of the callbacks? I mean, do you want to go over like what some of the callbacks that maybe people didn't catch? Or
I didn't write them down.
I noted a few. I mean,
go for it.
Jeff's car is still broken.
Yeah.
The windshield's still broken from Chang hitting with the guitar. Britta is doing her counseling, which go all the way back to the episode where she cheats and there's the pool.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me that last session, dumbass.
Yeah. Yeah. So Duncan recommends her go to counseling, which kind of seems like a joke, but apparently she actually does it.
Everybody can use a therapist.
Yeah. There's the callback to the Dean Dalmatian fetish, which is probably one of the best payoffs for a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Professor Whitman comes back. Not really a callback so much as just like a cameo.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, there's callbacks to Slater and that's the plots. And then I feel like there was another one that I just thought of, but I can't remember what it was.
He was humming it. The Greendale's the way it goes.
Yeah. The song. Yep.
You see the. I mean, I guess you see the Guzman statue in a bunch of episodes. Like, that's not quite.
Yeah.
Did it? I thought the Guzman episode wasn't until like season 3. So I mean,
when he comes to the school, it's not till later.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that they unveiled the statue because of he came to the school.
They unveil it because he was an alumnus of the school, but he actually visits the school for
the commercial.
For the commercial, yeah.
Right.
So.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
This place is special. Okay. Let's see.
I've always been bald.
Cleaning Jeff's face. What do I mean by that?
Because Slater starts like, oh, you got something on your face.
Okay. So the little
cleaning Jeff's face. What the? That sounds like an early 2000s alt rock. Like
Cleaning Jeff's face.
Dating Sarah.
No, it's not the name of the band; it's the album.
Yeah,
right.
Cleaning
Jeff's
album
face.
title.
Or maybe even like the record company.
Yeah. It's like an early 2000s like Christian alternative like boy band, rock band. Like
Cleaning Jeff's face. They have
Cleaning
one
Jeff's
song
face.
on K-Love, and so
Hawk Nelson. Cleaning Jeff's face.
Cleaning Jeff's
Winter
face.
Jam.
They're the opening acts for the guy who opens for Hawk Nelson.
Right.
Yeah.
And Hawk Nelson's the headlining band, so you know that it's not at the local Bethany Baptist Church.
Yeah. But just like that little scene there where like Britta. Oh my goodness. Okay, sorry.
My cat is attacking his leg.
Where Britta and Slater are like, "Oh, Jeff, you get a little something right there," and then Duncan's like, "I got something right here," and they're like, "No."
Yeah. he just like smacks mustard on his face. Yeah.
And then Ethan and I both wrote this down, but just Jeff's kind of posing question there, like, and again, we've talked about this whole season, but just the consistently, occasional like deep lines from the show of when Jeff goes, "Do you try to evolve or know who you are?" Which, like, for me, I feel like you can only evolve if you know who you are.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's kind of like the whole BS thing of like you can't love someone until you truly love yourself. Like there is a lot of unpacking that requires that, and yeah, I think if you don't know what's going to trigger you into like your fight or flight instinct, like I think Jeff very much has a flight mechanism that he masks as a fight mechanism. Does that make sense? Like he doesn't want to face his insecurities. And so to do that, he comes across as very combative.
Yeah.
And so I think that's
beautiful, actually.
Thank you. Kind of like your eyes.
I can see it in your eyes.
But I don't know. It's kind of like the line that Britta says, like, he doesn't need a woman who doesn't wear panties because it's sexy. She needs a woman who doesn't wear underwear because she hasn't done laundry in 3 weeks.
Oh, that made me throw up.
Yeah. And like that's the first Britta's the worst line that I can point out.
Yeah.
Like no, not even like Britta is different from everybody else. Like, yeah.
It's just well, that's also another thing. Okay, maybe I'm just like not some sexed up freak, but I'm sorry if a girl is like smelly, I don't want anything. I don't care how hot you are.
It's crusty.
Like,
yeah.
it must say, bro. Like,
bro, we gotta cut this.
Yeah. I'm sorry. This has turned into a relationship podcast. I just don't want anything. If a girl's like, I'm not even talking about like vaginally smelling. I'm just talking about like smelling, just like
you can't say the word vagina.
He said vaginally.
Oh gosh, I can't say the
medicine. But like, you know what I mean? Like, if a girl's just like smelly and dirty, like
my litmus test is if her elbows are dusty.
Oh,
if she doesn't wash her elbows, it's
put a little lotion on that something. Like, please. I'm not cutting it. I'm sorry. I'm not cutting it.
Stay it in. Uncensored and unapologetic.
Trying to get to 1,000 listeners. I'm not cutting
exactly. It's like that episode of Frasier, like sex.
Yeah.
Talk about sex.
We're getting canceled.
Dr. Cray wants to know, are you the spanker or the spanky?
Yeah.
So for my my A plus, it was definitely Duncan and Britta's interaction with the counseling, and it's like, yeah, thanks for telling me that last session, dumbass. You don't have to actually lay on the couch like a Woody Allen film.
Yeah.
And the fact that she already knew, like he'd already told her that, and she still did it a second time. It's kind of like, I'm going to make another reference to the Phineas and Ferb Christmas special. He like does the whole like startles awake, like, man, it was all just a bad dream. And Isabella's like, man, you've done that 4 times now. It's not going to work. And they're like in the mall, and she's like laying on the bed. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of that whole like, I know this is dumb, but I'm the main character of my own movie, so I'm going to do it anyway. And then whenever Britta's walking out and Chang is going in to talk to Duncan, they do this whole like, yeah thing. And it's like, I really appreciate it because they had already had the reference whenever Britta wanted to do the practical joke. And no. It was the episode where she couldn't pronounce bagels. She had bagels. And he was like, oh, you're the worst. And like, they have a couple of interactions in this show, and they have really good chemistry, because there's the one with whenever he's a security guard. It's like, hello, is it me you're looking for? Do that again. I'm going to give you a warning. I piss warnings, pig. She starts like eating the citation. Like, it's not something that I would ever think about. Like, Chang and Jeff have a lot of interactions, or Chang and Duncan honestly have quite a few too. Like, Chang and Britta is not one that happens a lot.
For sure.
Like, I think Chang and Annie happens more than that.
Yeah.
But the fact that Pierce almost drowned on a beer bong. It's like, hey, Troy, look at this. Don't inhale it though. I almost died in the parking lot. Like, I would feel like Pierce was like a guy who got turned in his younger days. Like he like, man, we smoke cyanide recreationally. Like, the kids these days are too soft.
And go around and punch a Republican.
Feel the girl and
Had
punch
sex
a
with
Republican
kids in an airplane bathroom.
Yep.
Yeah.
We just drive home to a tour bus. And then whenever they're at Abed's end of the year rager, which that was kind of a weird subplot anyway. That he threw that, like, it feels more in line with his like college checklist.
Yeah, exactly.
Plot.
I was thinking, yeah.
But she and Jeff are like flirting, and he like moves something out of her hair, and then he's like, "You're a pretty guarded person, Britta." And she's like, "Oh, would a guarded person do this?" And she like yanks somebody's hair, and she's like, "Ow!" And she's like, "It's startling, right? It's disturbing. It's disturbing, right?" I'm like, that's honestly really, it's really smooth. It's like, it's kind of fluid in how that works, and it's like, yeah, honestly. There's the whole joke of like, Joe Biden sniffing people's hair, or like, I remember I used to work with one of the cheerleaders from Northwest, and she was talking about one of the, I think it was one of the regents or one of like the provosts or whatever, and like they would take photos with the cheer team, and she was like, it's really awkward whenever we were wearing 2-piece uniforms, and like you could feel his hand at the small of your back. And I was like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to like win a scholarship and get to ask for a photo with the provost and then do that. Like I'm going to like bring him in and like put my hand at the small of his back.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of things that are supposed to be romantic in movies are not in real life. Like somebody was telling me about how a guy like was throwing rocks at her window at like 2 a.m. and she's like, I'm going to call the police on you if you don't leave. Like, this is not cute.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. I thought that little scene was kind of fun. That interaction. Duncan and Chang's fight is like, you know what? You are suspended. And Chang's like, you're not a teacher anymore. Do you know what this is? It's a roll of quarters. Why? And he just punches him in his face.
I love
something about like a roll of quarters or a bag full of quarters or a sock full of quarters. Like every time you yell at your kids, you put a quarter in your no yelling sock, and then you have a weapon to beat them. Like it's not funny. It shouldn't be, but it is. It's very like Backstreet. Like, because any good Backstreet cop can tell you a phone book doesn't leave bruises. John Mulaney, rest in peace.
No, I love the like. Yeah,
no, he's not dead.
The roll of quarter, like
yeah,
and that hurts so bad. Oh my! Like if you're just like.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you can break somebody's nose.
Like, why did Chang have a roll of quarters with him?
Yeah.
You know, just like
don't worry. Why didn't he use that to fight Pierce in the Family Day episode?
That's a good point.
So that's what the question that I had then. Did he punch him with the roll of quarters in his fist, and so his fist was firm, or did he use it like in the side? Because he
seemed like he like kind of swung.
Because he punched him.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to get Bruce Buffer up here
to the side.
We need to break it down like frame by frame.
Yeah.
So that was my suggestion. But, you know. My split decision. Benjamin El Tigre
Gina.
I was watching Fight Night last night, so I'm on a Bruce Buffer kick.
Yeah, it's
time. And then, of course, you know the age-old Yingwei Macadang Jr.
Yeah,
I found somebody on Twitter with that as their name, and I followed them back.
Nice. Is he actually a real guy?
No.
That'd be hilarious if he actually was.
If you Google him, it just comes up as Community.
It'd be funny if that was actually like a real hacky sack guy.
I know, like
so obscure, but they actually found a real guy, so he gets a shout out. Yeah.
He's the Jan Michael Vincent of hacky sack.
For my A+, the Yingwei Macading Jr. always gets me to laugh. The Dean calling it the trainee dance always cracks me up.
That
feels like such a 30 Rock joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chang punching Duncan with the quarters is great. You guys have mentioned most of them. I'll give a shout out to the end credits scene, just because of the video yearbook, and there's Leonard. What a year! Only 2 pregnancy scares.
Yeah.
And then the guy at the end, I can't believe I spent $10 on this. I don't know any of these people.
And that guy is Matt Jones.
Who's that?
He's a bunch of like he's one of the cousins in The Office.
Okay, just kind of like a.
He's like he's in a bunch of. Have you ever seen Brightburn?
Not yet. I need to.
He's in that.
Oh, you're talking. Oh, that's not Matt Jones that says that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Really?
Because he's in that, and he's also he's on.
He's a barista though. He's also in the show.
He's in the episode.
It's Zeke from The Office, but he's a friend of Vaughn's. He's
is he in the show?
Yeah,
I didn't realize that he was.
I didn't think that was him at the end though.
Yeah, because he's I can't believe I was paid $10.
Well, that's weird because he knows the people though, so he shouldn't. That doesn't really make sense because he's seen them before.
Well, doesn't mean he knows them.
Yeah, but he's okay.
But yeah. I don't know. Matt Jones and Adam Devine and there's another actor who's a comedic actor. He's the guy he's really tall and he always has his sideburns shaved like to here and like a little goatee. I don't think he was in Tropic Thunder, but he was in something like that. But it's like those guys growing up, like if I would see them and stuff, I'd be like, oh, that must be a really bad show. I shouldn't watch it because like they just seem very raunchy or like very,
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that, but
I'm trying to think of that actor.
Yeah. Do you know kind of vaguely who I'm talking about though?
I can probably see him.
I think he played Crocodile Dundee or like the parody of Crocodile Dundee in some movie. Because he was like, oh, I'm going to shave my face. Yeah, I'm going to shave my face, but he just started like cutting his face with a Bowie knife instead of actually shaving it.
Geez.
Yeah. But so for extra credit.
Leading the class. Hang on. I got
what? Oh, sorry.
I got Duncan for leading the class. Just shows him in spurts, but it's also like he's one of my favorite side characters of the whole show. And so, like,
Oh yeah, John
anytime
Oliver,
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Chef Kiss.
so anytime he shows up, it's fun, and like just like him like just like drunkenly trying to like hit on people.
Boy,
especially
my
Slater.
banger.
Yeah, like
I feel like he's one of those that I like that, or when he shows up in the show, he has great lines. But honestly, if they had him every episode, I don't think I'd get tired of him.
Yeah.
I think he would be funny, you know,
And
as
then
long as they didn't, as long as it wasn't just like the I'm the creepy British guy shtick.
right,
But that's kind of his character, and
because
think it's funny.
he grows. Yeah, he does grow over this couple episodes that he's in because he like wants to take Britta home, and he's like, oh, I can't because I'm not gonna take advantage of a drunk woman. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And then he'll like make references to Community and Last Week Tonight, like, hey, I know that show.
yeah,
It's kind of like whenever Rick goes to Unity, he's like, now make the blonde one fall in love with the brunette.
yeah.
Now make him do it on the table. Now cancel it. Now bring it back. Oh, I'm bored.
Oh gosh, what do you guys got?
I really didn't have a lead in the class. I think I appreciate Abed's, again, his sentimentality. Like he like practices turning off the lights in the study room, like study time over. It's
Mhm.
and like the end of the school year has that sort of flavor to it.
Yeah,
Welcome to Flavor Town. But like you've already taken your end of course exams. Like the teachers they stop teaching. And you're just like watching crash course videos.
yeah,
And yeah, you're trying to like, you know, you're excited for summer and you're like, man, I don't know are we going to go on vacation? Am I going to see my friends? Am I going to do that? And so I, you know, maybe not leading the class, but you know, I resonated with Abed. So
what do you think of like his theory on like super close friends or best friends shouldn't be roommates?
that I did like that. I mean, I thought it was frustrating. I thought Troy should have just asked him. Like, obviously, for the plot of the episode, it was Troy trying to give him hints.
Yeah,
It's like, maybe too much of a good thing is bad for you. My relationship with Abed is like this giant cookie. Like that was good. But in real life, he would have just been like, hey, I'm looking for a roommate. I need a place to live. Can I live with you?
mm-hmm.
And Abed would have made a good point that, yeah, if you spend all your time together, then it wouldn't end well.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, good on Pierce for wanting Troy to live with him. I know that there's the line of like, oh, I'll get you fitted for a uniform. I don't know where that line comes from in Pierce's mind. Like, obviously, it's just a joke about him being like a racist old man and he wants Troy to work for him. But I don't think he really means that.
Yeah,
like he's excited for Troy to live with him, and like he offers to let him stay in his mansion. So like that's good. So maybe Pierce might lead in class just for that. But Abed does make a good point that like over lockdown, whenever I was at the lighthouse all the time, and like there'd be those times where it's like, okay, guys, like I'm gonna go shower. Jonathan's gonna go like work on homework. Caleb's gonna go see Beth. Like we're just gonna reset and move back
Yeah.
to tonight. Like
or 1:45 p.m. or a.m. I'll text one of you guys to go to
Casey's.
cookies.
Exactly.
You know?
It's not that we hate each other. It's just that like, yeah, you need time away from people. Like that's how it goes.
Agreed.
Yeah. I got Annie once again, back-to-back episodes. Just, I think there's twice where she says something about just like living in the moment and how she's always like lived for the future and planning and stuff. And now she wants to like be, you know, just live for the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And her final conversation with Jeff, I just think she has some good lines, and I can't remember them right off, like, quote, I didn't write them down specifically what she says, but there's a couple of lines that she said specifically that I just like, man, that kind of hits as like, yeah, that end of the year feeling. And I mean, obviously
Possibilities.
there's possibilities and just hope and kind of, I mean, a little bit of foreshadowing with her, spoiler alert, into the show, like the series when she leaves. And just finally see that
the show ends.
That's still going actually. In 80 years when
6 seasons in a movie.
Yeah. I think the insight that she gives and the wholesome, there's a lot of good lines in this episode from a lot of the different characters that are actually pretty like deep.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think, but she had a couple of them that I wrote down, and honestly, I think you could give it to Abed as well, just because that line about two best friends, you know, you're too much of a good thing, you're gonna ruin it basically. And yeah, extra credit. I'll continue while we're talking. I already mentioned most of them, talking about the callbacks. One thing I wrote down, and I don't really know where to go with this, but at the beginning when Duncan's talking with Britta, and he says something about there's bugs on the windshield, you may not be able to squeegee, like a certain birthday party attended by a rather enterprising transient in a dinosaur costume. And they kind of gloss over it, like that's something she's talked about before with him, is like some kind of memory of a birthday party.
Is that like a reference to like how the old Barney was like a sex offender or something like that?
That's what I
maybe.
Okay, so there's later on in the show, one of the Halloween episodes, she dresses up as a dinosaur. I think it's the one with where they all eat the bad meat, and she's dressed like a dinosaur. So I have seen some theories online, and I think it's just fan theories. And I don't know, it's kind of dark, but like there's some people that think that like, was she molested? Like, was she, you know, did something happen in her past? And like, she has this weird,
like almost like Stockholm syndrome,
kind of, or like something happened or that, or maybe not that dark, but that she lost her virginity at a birthday party. Maybe not that she was a kid, you know, that she was just, she was of age, and
a certain birthday party attended by a rather enterprising transient. Yeah.
Or you know, like she had a baby cousin, a little cousin, and she was 20, and there was a birthday, you know, some guy that was the same age as her.
It didn't have to be her birthday party.
Right. But either way, I just thought that was kind of a weird like line and kind of sad.
See, I was hoping, because the transient is just basically like a hobo or somebody's like a drifter. Mm-hmm. So I was hoping that it was just kind of one of those like, oh, it was really awkward because this guy he showed up drunk to the party and he fell down on the cake or, you know, tripped over something and she was just really scarred by it. But yeah, that's kind of a downer to think about. Cause like that's a real part of people's lives. And I feel like it happens more than we unfortunately want to admit.
A lot more.
But, and there's, and then the line too is like the adolescent fear of being a blow up doll. Like that, man, I really hate to unpack that.
Yeah, that's deep.
But yeah, honestly, you're right though, that it would kind of explain why she does a 180 on Jeff of, you know, this guy's attracted to me and I'm attracted to him. You know, he's constant in my life. You know, we're not good for each other, but he's always there. Again, I don't like this episode because the whole Slater storyline is just frustrating, but dang, I
don't know if that's the indication, if that's the connotation of the line, or if it was just supposed to be a throwaway of like, yeah, some guy destroyed your birthday party by being drunk and that was it, and then she just happened to dress up as a dinosaur later in the show. But I've seen some stuff and it makes sense to me, and I could kind of see that being a hint of her past has kind of got some dark, you know, she's got some trauma.
You mentioned Slater. I want to go there for a second because Slater says that basically we got close, I got scared, and like pushed you away.
And like that's so frustrating because that's what she accused Jeff of doing.
Exactly. I'm like,
I hate the payoff of that.
And she was like, oh gosh, you know, I didn't handle the relationship badly.
I got scared,
and I'm like, the episodes where you were gone, like after Jeff broke up with Slater, like those episodes were good, except for the one with the high schoolers.
Yeah.
Like that would have been the only time that Slater would have been good. Is like, oh, the high schoolers are taking Slater's classes, and so Jeff uses Slater to make them fail the class. That would have been good. But yeah, it's just this, her inclusion in this finale makes it feel like a sitcom. It doesn't make it feel like Community.
Yes.
It reverts all the characters involved back to just, do I choose the girl or do I choose the woman, or you know, and
like the idea that Slater would subjugate herself to like a open I love you in like this weird race with Britta. Like, you don't like Jeff that much. I don't believe that you're like, oh gosh, Jeff, like,
and she loses any agency. Like whenever Jeff starts dating her, it's almost like she's somebody that he has to pursue.
Yeah.
And now she's not even like the desperate ex who wants to get back. She's really just the other choice to Britta.
Yes.
Like there's I don't know. I really just don't like, because later on Jeff and Britta's love history just is a throwaway gag. Yeah. Like they make out in the back of Troy's car, or they're having sex in the St. Patrick's Day flashback with Abed. Like maybe if you were watching this for the first time, like it would. No, honestly, it wouldn't. Even if you watch it for the first time, like it wouldn't feel special. It'd just feel like another sitcom. Like,
and really too, let me add to that a little bit. Help unpack that a little bit. Like, okay, if you still want to have the point of like evolve or stay where I am, you know, if you want to still do that, you could do that with Britta and Annie, because in a lot of ways, Annie is the perfect version of Jeff.
Yeah,
she doesn't belong in Greendale, but she's going to make the most of it.
Yeah,
she's going to get what she can out of it and like move on. And like, she's got to eat crow a little bit and like be here, and like Britta is a loser. Like
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know what I mean? It's like she is where you are. So it's like,
yeah. So it's almost like I've been convincing myself that I don't deserve Britta, but really I do, and I don't deserve Annie. Then yeah, because the kiss that they share is pretty good. I mean, I've never been a romantic comedy person or anything, but like, yeah, I mean, I think that's why they shift the dialogue going forward in seasons. Like the showrunners originally wanted, it was Troy and Annie, and then Jeff and Britta, and then they switched it because Britta and Troy have better chemistry, and then Jeff and Annie too. But no, that is something that I feel like I'm a small town Midwest guy. Our parents never left their hometown. Like I'm probably not going to go live in Los Angeles or live in New York. And so I really like whenever I think about like whoever my future significant other is going to be, a lot of times I almost make it a competition with myself of like, oh, I want to see if this girl will be attracted to me. Like I don't even really want to date her. I just want
sport. Yeah.
Right. And I feel bad saying that because like that's not how I look at it. But it's like, yeah, it's almost like a validation of like, if this person is into me, I'm proving something to myself. And I think that with Jeff, he's like, I am so emotionally and maybe even like maturely stunted because I've been faking it my whole life. And so I feel like I'm supposed to reach for this professor who, is tall, dark, and pretty, with dark hair. But I feel like, I want to go towards the rambunctious, sort of seat of her pants, like, what you said, this loser, honestly, like, so the conscious decision for me is like, okay, I just gotta, you gotta back away from that, and not do it. But there's no like fulfillment in the safe bet. Yeah. Yeah.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
I think about that too. Like I was imagining like, so currently I'm not single by God's grace. And like, I am like, but I do think about, cause I've spent most of my life single, and like, I do think about like my singleness in the sense of like, okay, I'm 25 now. If I would have like had my choice, I would have liked to get married sometime
18.
between like 17 and 21. Like, and that could have happened.
Yeah.
And like, I could have, for lack of a better term, settled, taking what's in front of me.
Yeah.
But like, I couldn't. I remember. I dated during that time a little bit, and
we talked about that.
Yeah.
And that, that's the thing too. I feel like a lot of, I'm not a Jeff in that my flight instinct is just a flight instinct. I just don't want to mess with it. I don't want to think about like a lot of the realities of where I'm at with my life is because of choices that I've made.
Yeah.
Like there have been, like you said, like I could have gotten married to somebody that I dated or somebody who liked me, and I chose not to pursue that for one reason or the other. So it's kind of one of those like, well, you made your bed, now lie in it. You don't have any right to complain because you did this. And like, yeah, you have to kind of face those facts, but it goes back to what we said in the last episode of like, you have two choices. Do you fix yourself? Do you address those parts of you that are unhealthy, that push people away? Or do you just kind of perpetuate that narrative of like, well, I'm just going to settle for somebody who likes me how I am now? You know, like what part of that are you gaslighting yourself? And what part of that are you actually seriously making progress?
That's good. That's a word right there.
It's a word.
Let's speed this up a little bit because we're kind of personally running up against it. For extra credit, one of the training contest people was Daniel Harmon. That was kind of fun. What do you guys got just quickly for extra credit stuff?
I just had LeVar Burton. Just we love LeVar. He's in the episode. He's in the show, and he's referenced here. That's all I had.
Yeah, I've already mentioned mine. So,
and then for me, I feel like you guys always like move my rating. So like I did have like 7.3 originally,
closer to a 7 than an 8.
Yeah, literally.
Now it's 7.3 means like right now.
But I'm gonna bring it down a point to 6.3, close to a 6, close to a 6 than an 8 actually. but yeah, I mean this episode isn't offensive to me, like, but it's not like as we kind of like broken it down, I'm like, yeah, I'm done. But again, it's an episode of Community. Each one's like a different flower. I appreciate them all. I love them all. They're like little children.
This one can burn in hell, but
yeah.
Not as bad as the Schmitty episode, obviously.
Oh
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we've already talked about the relationship. They did Slater and Britta and Jeff love triangle, so I don't want to keep talking about that. But I don't like the way they wrap up with Britta's feelings for Jeff, because it's like, okay, we've seen them kind of shift from Jeff likes Britta doesn't like Jeff, to then, okay, Britta kind of has feelings for Jeff, but he's dating Slater.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's kind of that they have chemistry, but they don't really want to like admit that they're going to date.
Which is a realistic dynamic in life, but it's not good TV writing.
And then all of a sudden, like basically in this episode, she's like, "Oh, I want to tell Jeff that I love him. I want to be with him." Right before the end of the semester, like the last day of the semester, I'm like, "You literally had the whole year to tell him this."
That's some 8th grade stuff for sure.
Like, especially, I mean, they slept together at paintball, which we think, okay, that's probably a week or two.
Break.
I mean, it's basically before this year's going to end. So you have time in between paintball and you've got the Spanish final, and then this. Like,
it's just a bad time to start a relationship.
Yeah, it's just like you guys are about to go. I mean, yeah, you can still talk and stuff. Like, why did you wait till now to tell him that you are in love with him? And obviously, the Slater. Yeah, I like Slater, but I don't like the way I don't like the end to this. Like,
she doesn't come back.
Yeah, and then just like throughout the season, I like the relationship with Jeff and Slater. And then like the explanation she gives, like, yeah, I got scared and I ran away, but like now I'm back. Like, it would have worked if they would have had more like showing her
breaking up with him.
Well, that or just like still showing her throughout that time where like she still sees Jeff, like they're kind of like still hinting like, oh, she still maybe has feelings for him, right? But like she's broken up, and like they kind of
at least have her in
hey, you know,
scenes.
Yeah, you know,
like even like this. I'll suddenly stop talking, but like I wouldn't even mind it if like she was just like, hey, I just want you back for sex. Like I wouldn't even mind it, like,
but not the whole I love you.
Yeah, like the whole like, oh, I got scared. Like, just
my pants fall down and I got scared and I still live with the virus.
Yeah, because and I mean, it's funny to see like her and Britta have that rivalry, but there's really no reason why. Like, why is there such a rivalry? The fact, obviously, they're going for Jeff, the same guy, but it's like Britta or Slater has been gone for a while. She broke up with Jeff. She gives the excuse of like, "Oh, I ran away. I was scared," which I don't really buy. I think that's just her. I think part of it is she probably just wants to have sex with him, but it's just like there's really no other explanation of like why does she doesn't ever really go into deep of like, oh, you haven't really proved to me that you really want to be with him. And I don't know, like she broke Jeff's heart, like she broke up with him, and like I can get, okay, maybe you're interested in Jeff. Like what I'm saying is if they would show her having more interest in Jeff and like a reason of, oh, there's actually more stakes, like, yeah, there's benefit to Jeff going for Britta or for Slater versus just go for the plot.
Like, you know that he's not going to choose her.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty obvious. Like, you know, he's not going to. And I don't know. It's like, I never feel the drama of like, is he going to choose Slater?
Right. Because again, she's lost any agency that she had.
Right. Which makes the whole rivalry with her and Britta so pointless. Because it's like,
it's frustrating.
Why are you fighting over this guy? You haven't proven to the viewers that you really seem to want him.
Right.
I don't want to stay on this all night. So overall, this episode, it's not a bad episode. Honestly, like for the finale, I think it made me laugh quite a bit. Honestly, that we've talked about this tonight, I kind of forgot how much I laughed watching it. There's some pretty funny lines in some moments, so I'll give it that. Like, it's got some good moments, but it's not an episode that you could probably watch by itself. And it's a finale, it makes sense. But like, I feel like every other episode of at least the first season, you pretty much could watch by itself or out of order, and you're probably not gonna like. There's really no storyline aspect to them for the most part.
Yeah,
this one obviously has to wrap up a bunch of storylines, so you have to watch it like with all the storylines in mind. And there's really no other like standalone like that makes it stand out other than that purpose. So it's just, it serves a purpose of finishing the season, wrapping it up. But to me, it's not like a great community episode, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think you're right. Like, it's funny, but it's empty.
Yeah, this episode didn't need a cliffhanger. Like,
yes, I was that too.
It was unnecessary.
Yeah. Also, side note, we mentioned this before. I don't ship Jeff and Annie. Like, it's weird to me.
Mm-hmm.
So the kiss, while romantic, it's just cringy.
Because she's supposed to be 18 and
he's 36.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the age gap. Even if she's legal, but like, it's just the age gap is so weird, and
Yep.
dynamic. I like the friendship, but I don't like the creepiness of him kissing her. But
Yeah. I feel like the show doesn't know how to tiptoe around that.
yeah,
Like, I'm confused. Is he your lover or your father? Like, we're friends.
yeah.
But no, I feel that. Yeah, I just wasn't a huge fan of the episode personally. I want to ship Duncan and Slater. Like, I know that there's no reason to, but because like she doesn't come back after this, and it would honestly make sense because just think of like Jan from The Office. Like she gets with Michael, and she's like so self-destructive and in denial that she doesn't like Michael. She just is messed up after her divorce and getting fired.
Yeah.
And so like it makes sense for Slater to date Duncan just to get back at Jeff.
That's honestly a good. I like that actually.
And Duncan's just happy to have a woman attracted to him.
You know what he should have done? He should have done like the whole like the Chang technique where he's like, "Please sleep with me, please. I'm really desperate."
Yeah.
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 But yeah, that was just the ending of that. I give this episode so Troy got the giant cookie, and that's how he learned not to rely on Abed too much. I give this episode a Fig Newton out of Devil Stuff Oreo. was not the episode for me.
Fig Newtons are gross.
Yeah. I mean, not even, you know what? I'm going to give it a Fig Newton out of Mega Stuff Oreo. Like, not even the Great Value ones, like Oreo brands.